Ooh. Welcome back, or welcome to the Witchy Weirdos Podcast. Maybe we are the Weird Coast Podcast. Anyway, it's episode 11. Hello.
Hello. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Tiffany. And today we have a very, very fun podcast in honour of Hannah's sister, who's finally returned to the UK after crazy adventures.
Yeah.
I know.
This whole pandemic, she has been on a year abroad in South Korea. So today, in honour of that, we are talking Korean ghost stories.
Ooh, I'm so excited.
I know, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, so how is your sister?
Yeah, she's good. She's back.
How was the pandemic in South Korea?
Honestly, like, they've come through the other side of it, and then she's had to come home to this, and it's like, why?
Poor girl. Poor girl.
Fun times.
Does she have any, has she told you any, fun ghost stories or anything from her time in Korea?
She's not mentioned anything, but I think that, I don't think she would mention anything, so.
No, she's kind of a very quiet and sceptical girl.
Yeah. She likes this, though. She enjoys our ghosty stories, so that is good.
Sweetheart. Well, I have a whole bunch of stories, so for me, I went down a route of I watched a bunch of YouTube videos.
Oh my god.
I watched
that.
There's mainly this girl called Gina Bear. Well, her name's not Gina Bear, but her YouTube channel name is Gina Bear. Her name is Gina. I basically watched a bunch of her videos. She is amazing. So she is I think she's a teacher in Korea. So I think she's on some kind of program where she she teaches, and all I know is she's got a bunch of students, and she kept saying what she was a part of, but I didn't know what it was. But she does, all of her videos are so fun. She does everything from legal advice to being in Korea, things you shouldn't do, dating advice, which is so fun. Listening to all the different types of guys you encounter in Korea, you know how here we have the stereotypes when you're dating.
That you can envision.
I know, but there are Korean versions, obviously. That makes sense. But it's so interesting. But then she also has some Korean ghost stories and also Korean urban legends. Super interesting. So I have 6 from her.
Oh wow!
Some of them are quite small, to be fair. But I'm gonna dive into which one should I dive into? Which one really freaks me out? This one. Okay. This one's quite short, so I'll just kick us off a little bit.
Yes. But let's ease in.
Yeah, exactly. This one was a real account from someone Gina met while she was there, or she's still there, but it's a friend that she met. And so she's retelling the story, just changing the names. But basically it's this man that she met, and she was their friends, and he has a wife, and her wife had a friend. And so his wife and the friend went to see a fortune teller. And this is the Daegu fortune teller. And this fortune teller has a really strong reputation for having really accurate predictions of the future. Super accurate. If they say it, it's going to happen. So the wife and this friend, they're out having a good time, and they go to this fortune teller thinking it's just going to be a good laugh, you know. And they walked up to the fortune teller, and the teller just went white in the face, ghost. Oh my God. And basically said to the wife, "I'll tell your fortune, but I will not tell your friends because they have no future."
Oh my God.
They were just "You're mean."
Can you imagine hearing that? You'd be absolutely not. Thanks for that.
I know. I'd be "Not today, my friend." But they were just they assumed this teller was just being mean, and they were annoyed, so they left.
Just trying to sound all creepy.
Exactly, yeah. So they just left, and they were they thought, thought they were being mean, so they were just I don't want to get my fortune told then, fine, bye. And the next day, the wife's friend dies in a car accident.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
That is so tragic and so scary. And if you were the friend, surely, I would walk around oh my God, it's coming. Something's coming for me.
I know. I would literally be I'm sitting in my house and I'm not leaving.
It's like that episode of Friends.
Yes.
Where Phoebe thinks she's going to die, and she's walking around it's coming.
Oh my God, yes. But don't go to the Daegu fortune teller.
Yeah, too accurate, clearly.
Simple as that. So yeah, that was super short, but very interesting.
That's freaky. Mm-hmm. I can't even imagine.
How do you want to do this? Do you want me to tell some more, or do you want to sub in?
Well, I've got 2 stories, but then what I thought we could finish on, I have got a massive list of the different type of Korean ghosts.
No way.
So should we just like, shall I sub in my 2 stories and then you can go to town on yours and then we can do ghosts?
Sounds
okay.
so good.
So the first story I've got is called The Haunted Korean Dormitory.
Classic.
Which, you know, like we know from experience, like halls of residence, there's a lot of hauntings in that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So in 1999, a small rural university had 2 seniors called, oh god, right, we're ready for name pronunciation to go wrong.
Oh yeah.
Kang Ji-hyun and Lee So-young, and they both died in their dorm rooms. So sounds kind of relatively normal so far. But both these women had complained of sleepless nights and nightmares, and they had both reported seeing this strange man on campus who would harass them.
Oh god.
So one day, Seonjun even arrived with her dress like torn, and she was emotionally shaken from her experience of being harassed by this man. So both of these people then became very scared and, you know, fearful of what was out there. So they both became very, like, withdrawn and withered away. They would start to skip their classes. And, like, if you know, like, a lot of Asian culture, like, going to classes and stuff is a big deal. Like, you're supposed to, you're very focused on your education. So that's quite significant. So then both of them died on October 19th, 1999.
Both of them?
Both of them died. I don't know if they were, like, roommates or if they were just 2 people on the same campus.
The same thing, yeah.
But yes, they both died on October 19th. So after their burials, other students in this dormitory started to hear mysterious sounds. They would hear doors knocking and handles turning, and lights would explode and glass would crack, which is just like, oh my god. So then there are some sightings of the 2 girls. So it's reported that you would see 2 of the unkempt girls, and they would actually claim to be these girls. So it's not even just like a ghostly figure that's being presumed. Like,
it's like
these
a
ghosts,
full apparition.
Yeah, they would say that that's who they are. And so they would ask people why they were in their bedrooms. Which is just, can you imagine having that as your bedroom and then
oh my god,
someone being like, why are you in here? Like,
that just made me want to throw up.
Oh, I hate that. And they would just disappear afterwards. So they'd say, why are you in my room? And just disappear. And so,
like, you can have it.
Yeah, it's not worth it. And so people believe that these 2 souls will not rest until either they graduate university or the man is captured that was harassing them and is possibly something to do with their death. It's quite ambiguous whether, like, something happened where the man who was harassing them did something, whether, I don't know, whether it was a suicide or if it was just a combination of the fact that they were not leaving their rooms and they were withering away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is the story of the haunted Korean dormitory.
Oh my god. It's a no from me.
Dormitories have to be one of the scariest things.
You're
like,
so right.
Dormitories and then a mix of, like, the American summer, like, camp kind of ghost stories. I think it's something about sharing rooms with people that, like,
do you know what?
Somehow makes it worse.
Yeah. American summer camp stories, that's something we need to look into.
I love those kind of stories. They are such, like, campfire, ghosty creepiness. I love it. So good.
Yes. I love it.
Okay, am I doing my other one?
Yeah, go for it, and then I'll dive into all of these.
You can tell we're a little bit out of sync of this, can't you?
Yeah.
Where has it gone? This was a Reddit No Sleep article.
Oh, love it.
So this is just titled Korean Ghost Story, and it's by the user Janus Gang, and this was posted about 2 years ago. So I'm just going to read it as if it's first person. I'm currently in the Korean army and should not be writing this stuff on the internet during hours this late. But I'm currently a sergeant and can get away with most stuff others would be punished with. So fuck it. I'm going to tell you a story that left me haunted for a year. A story that involves my best friend from high school. My friend was the best in school and I was the worst. It would seem a crook like me being friends with an all A-star student should be abnormal, as Korea considers such beings to be in completely different universes.
Wow.
However, we got along as well as any brotherly friendship and two besties could have. We sat at the very end of the line in the classroom, which was insisted by me as I liked to look into the window right next to me, hoping someday to get out of this shithole. Being the representing student in the whole class, my friend, I'll call him David as that's his English name, would never doze off during lessons. It was almost mechanical how he would just listen to endless waves of nonsense, intertwining into bullshit that served no purpose in the real world. I feel like this guy just gets us all when it comes to school. However, that's only my agenda. He loved that stuff. That's why when one day he just kept sleeping during not only one class, but every class in school for a week, I knew something was wrong. At first, he would brush off my, hey, you finally accepting the fact that all these classes are good for nothing? With awkward smiles and fuck yous. But when a week passed and I got serious with my interrogations, he gave me the darkest look I've ever seen on his always smiling face.
Oh, no.
I knew something was up when we brought some soju. So soju is the, like, big Korean alcohol. Like, you get drunk on it very easily.
Okay.
From the convenience store.
Oh, God.
I was always good at getting cigarettes and alcohol. Rule 1, look into their eyes and demand it. Most high schoolers show hints of guilt, which messes up the operation. I love this guy's in the army now, like, saying all this. Then we headed to our secret hideout from middle school and poured a couple of shots into a paper cup. We cracked a couple of inside jokes and talked nonsense until I blew a large cloud of smoke from my Marlboro and carefully asked him, so, David, what's all this shit about? David gave me the look again and sighed like the whole world was on his shoulders. I could see whatever had happened, it was killing him. I never noticed details of people often, but I could see the goosebumps on his neck appear. It was a mild summer, hot and damp day. David asked for a hit, which shocked me. He never smoked in his life, but I just handed it to him. After taking a mouthful of smoke, he seeped it right in, only to cough hysterically. Thinking about it now, it was really funny seeing a nerd complaining on why people eat this stuff, but somehow at that moment it all seemed like a solemn initiation. After clearing his throat a couple of times, he spoke in a gaunt voice. I've been living in hell for a week now. I can't concentrate on my studies. I can't even sleep at night. Janice, if you're going to listen to this, you better not call me a liar or think I might just lose it. As any curious friend would do, I promised not to call him a liar, and after some reassurance, he told me a tale that would not only freak me out, but keep me awake in the witching hours where the shadows creak. Oh, I love that.
That is great.
His story starts in an academy where both him and I attend. It's a math academy in Seoul, very close to my house. It's just across a couple of roads to be exact. If you're from Korea, you would know that the government was trying to destroy a long-held authority such as private educational institutions. So they decided to limit all activities of such cram schools until 12 a.m, midnight. However, the Tiger Mums of Korea, brackets, God bless them, and headmasters of such institutions weren't having any of that. So they created a system where the floors would be locked in iron chains, only leaving the bathrooms, staircases and elevators outside after midnight, while the lights directly inside the entrance would be turned off. However, the inside would still be active, thus tricking the police patrolling the educational buildings into thinking that the academies were closed. However, I rarely witnessed the lockdowns as I would be out by 11. Wishing David good luck as I headed for the pool bars in my local playground to pump some biceps and back muscles. This story. I just love his writing.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, David would stay there till 4 a.m, losing youth by the second.
Oh, God.
Just that as well. I love
Losing youth by the second.
Along these countless days of me and police studies from David, on a Friday night something happened there. Something David had to keep from me for a whole week before telling me. On that Friday, I presumably said farewells and left for home. David, being left behind, concentrated on his studies for hours and hours. After a long bookfuck, he started to feel the exhaustion from endless nights of studying taking a toll on him. I've never felt so tired before, he said. And then this now says, from person from now on. So now we're getting first person from David's perspective. So, being hazy from the tiredness, I felt from sitting on a chair for hours. I decided to look up and check my surroundings. The clock pointed at 1:34. No one but 2 girls were present, and even then seemed ready to go. As I sighed and rubbed my eyes, the classroom opened and the teacher came in. Eyeing the book zombies barely able to keep their eyes open, he gave a hint of a smile and said, "It's past 1 a.m. and you all seem tired, so for the ones who wish to rest now, you may go. For the ones who plan on staying a bit later, let's take a 10-minute rest break on your brains." I sighed and put my head on the table. I was intrigued to just go home a bit early. It was just one day, right? And I soon remembered midterms were coming up and I needed to keep a solid grade. So after some internal negotiation, I decided to keep up my good work. After hitting the bathroom and getting myself back into study mode, I was hoping I might squeeze out what little study juice I had left. Leaving the room, I asked for the keys of the chains on the floor entrance and headed to the steel door. It was dark, but I could make out the keyhole and soon opened the large gates, spilling a whole new level of darkness into my eyes. The faint moonlight seeping through the small window placed over the staircases and the red number 3 on the elevator was all there was that illuminated the otherwise completely dark platform.
Ugh.
I could barely see anything, but still managed to turn left, heading to the bathroom. After turning a corner and reaching the entrance, the place was pitch black. No light existed as the building had to be dead, as to escape the suspicious eyes of the police. I fumbled into the bathroom, only to realise what darkness I had felt was nothing in compared to what I was seeing now. Touching my way in, I reached the first bathroom stall and almost collapsed onto the toilet. I was just going to take care of my business and get out, but the silence and blackness was so comforting to my sleepy eyes. I decided to close my eyes and meditate for a couple of minutes, pondering on whether studying like this was even worth it. Will I make it to Seoul University, etc.? Just a couple, right? No harm in a few minutes. I woke up to the faint sound of high heels echoing the hallways of the building.
Oh.
How long had I been asleep? I frantically checked my cell phone to see the time. 2:22. I cursed under my breath and started getting ready to leave, only to hear the sound of high heels heading for the bathroom hall. WTF. I quietly waited for the footsteps to turn away. This was the men's restroom, for God's sake. Then the horrible thought crossed me. Was I in the girls' bathroom? But I soon remembered a memory of Janu's bickering. He had been complaining about how the men's bathroom was on the 3rd floor and the women's bathroom was on the 1st floor, even though technically it would be more convenient for the 3rd floor dwellers, as both he and I were for it to be as it was. He always found something to complain about. My thoughts came to a direct halt as the footsteps grew louder and louder. I knew for certain that this was the men's bathroom. Then what was this noise? I felt my heartbeat start to pound like crazy as the sound of high heels entered the bathroom. I couldn't get rid of the eerie vibe that hung in the strings of my heart. The darkness, the silence, the piercing sound of high heels. I stared at the mirror placed on the inside of the store that read, "Love yourself and you will clean up afterwards." Placed directly at the height you would be if you sat down on the toilet. I stared at my barely visible face. My eyes had come used to the dark, and I could make out 2 wide eyes soaked with fear. The footsteps stopped for a second. The sound had changed, becoming clearer than faint. It took me a moment to realise in horror. She was walking in circles. Whoever it was, she was walking in a circle all around the bathroom, never stopping, never changing the pace.
Oh my God.
The frightened look in my reflection only amplified the terror I was feeling. Not only was the fear engulfing me, but the pure idiocy of the situation was eating away my being. I had always lived a normal life, studying and playing with friends. This was not something I could cope with. But whether I liked it or not, the footsteps continued to echo the bathroom. Silence returned, leaving me petrified. I felt a lump form in my throat as I realised the steps had stopped right in front of my stall.
Oh my God, no.
This is intense. Oh my gosh.
I'm sweating.
I've only read the first part, so this is split into 2 parts, so I've just clicked on the second part, so I don't even know what's coming now.
Oh my God.
I was like, I'm going to leave it for dramatic effect. Leaving only the door between me and whoever was out there. I started to feel nauseous as the suspension built up in my legs. It felt like hours as I stared at myself, the scenery keeping me otherwise useless sense of sight and focus. But the funny thing is, no matter how afraid you are, curiosity always seems to win.
Oh, so true.
So true. Well, that's clearly what all of this is, isn't it, with us?
Yeah.
I started to wonder what the fuck was making me so tense. I wanted it all just to be a prank and laugh over it. So I found myself wondering if I could just take a peek, just one peek, right? Of course they wouldn't open the door, but the gap between the door and the stall was looking so tempting. I slowly took my face towards the crack, jerking my head ever so slightly. Through the break, a knife punctured through, making stabbing movements that reached just inches from my nose.
No!
I returned to my spot. Oh my god, this is so intense. My brain, my heart, every part of my body was being pumped with blood. I wish it would stop. It could hear me. I closed my eyes, and for the first time ever, I prayed to a God I never believed in.
Oh my god.
And then there was only darkness. At this point of the story, I asked David in a hushed tone what he did next. He answered by saying that he had fallen asleep. I, being pissed off, told him he was an idiot and that he should have been stabbed multiple times. His explanation was that he was just so tired that after what seemed like forever, his brain had just shut down.
Yeah.
This explanation, in a weird way, made me believe his story even more. If he wanted to make up a good story, he would have added more ghostly factors into it. After tugging in another hit, I asked him what happened next, and then he continued.
Oh my god.
I awoke to commotion that was coming from inside of the bathroom. It was morning, and I felt safe again. Even the several voices of old men coming from the door did not stop me opening it. 3 policemen were talking to each other, and as if they were waiting for me to come out. The second I appeared, they started laughing. They told me I shouldn't be sleeping in bathrooms and that I should run along home. But I could see that their smiles did not reach their faces. I realised they were covering up the exit as if to hide something. Ajushi, which means older man. What is it? I said as I tiptoed to see what they were hiding. Outside of the exit, 2 young policemen were taking someone out of the building. It was a woman with hair so long it covered up her face, wearing rags and tilting her head to one side. I only caught a glimpse of the whole situation, which left me bewildered as I asked for answers to the older 3 policemen. I saw a drastic change in their smiling faces, and one of them let out a tired sigh and said to me, "You'll need to come to the police office with me, kid." That's how, for the first time ever, I got to see the insides of a police station.
Oh my god.
The inside of the police station felt cold, as if, however innocent you think you are, you will find yourself in jail. Everyone looked busy as they typed on their computers and talked onto their phones. Even the policeman that had brought me here seemed busy, typing along, not caring about the immediate boy sitting in front of his desk. Having nothing else to do, I started looking around. Nothing was out of the ordinary. I wondered what my parents would say if they knew I hadn't studied at all, but had fallen asleep, and then had only ended up trapped in a police office. I decided to not think about such an abomination. My eyes wandered even further until I reached a barred prison cell, one I knew from movies that holds drunkies or people that had got into fights. Inside was a woman, one with her hair covering most of her face, and eyes that were open so wide that her eyeballs looked like they would explode. She had a creepy smile on her face, almost ear to ear, the slit-like mouth composed of half of her face, looking like someone had cut her mouth to make room for more joy. I noticed that she was tilting her head from side to side in a rhythmic but chaotic pattern, so slowly you would miss it if you looked somewhere else and then looked back again. It was unsettling. At that moment, I heard a fake cough coming from the desk, and I peeled my eyes away from the woman. The policeman was looking at me with a serious face, as if debating whether I should be here or not. Finally, after some time, he spoke to me in a careful voice. "Some things aren't meant to be known. This is probably one of them. If you decide to just go home and forget about everything, it will be much easier on you and on me. Would you still like to know?" I don't know where the courage sprang from me, but I answered yes in a determined voice. I wanted to know what had gotten me into this mess. As if he had been waiting for my answer, the policeman handed me a laptop, which I placed on the other side of his desk. In it was what looked like CCTV footage, which I had never seen in real life, but I'd seen plenty on the news. It was footage of the corridor right in front of the entrance of the bathroom. The weird thing was that you could see up to the first bathroom stall, which, in my knowledge, was technically forbidden. He pressed the play button, kinked up the speed to about 16, and watched me. The start was at about 10 p.m. It was strange to see high school boys running in the corridors, washing their hands and stuff. It felt like I was seeing something I shouldn't be watching, but thank God the urinals weren't in view. I continued to watch as the time on the footage soared by. The policeman had returned to his desk and was tapping on his computer again. As the footage hit midnight, all of the lights turned off, but the night vision showed hints of obstacles that still lay present. Time passed and I felt kind of bored. Nothing was happening, but I knew sooner or later I would show up. I would finally get to know who the nut job was who put a knife in my stool. At around 1:30, I saw a silhouette of me walking into the bathroom. I looked stupid as I fumbled through the abysmal of the halls. I could see myself enter the stool and the door close behind me. Then I waited. Sooner or later, the knife holder would show and I'd be able to go back home and rest things off. But nothing came.
What?
I checked the time. It was 2:30. Nothing was on the footage. I felt a sense of relief showering me. That's it. I was just imagining things. The excess amount of coffees in my brain and no sleep had affected my brain. I could now leave in peace. But that's when the footage hit 3:00. I saw someone coming into the halls. It was a woman walking, crooked, barefoot, stumbling along as her long hair swayed and swept the floors towards the bathroom. I watched as she entered the bathroom, walking in what appeared to be circles until she stopped at my stool, cocking her head to the side. Suddenly, she started running out of the bathroom, returned with a chair from wherever and put it in front of my stool, jumping onto it and peering into the stool from head over. I felt like an omen-like sensation was drowning me. As if planned by someone, I turned my head slowly towards the barred cell. The woman I had seen earlier had come all the way from her seat to the bars, grasping them and putting her face through the cracks.
Ugh.
She had the same wide-eyed smile, but she was now directly looking in my eyes with a menacing focus that made me dizzy. "Can I see this somewhere else?" I asked the policeman. Hearing my faint plead, the policeman wrenched his head towards the cell one and then nodded. "Let's go to the interrogation room." The interrogation room should have been more frightening, but I was just so happy to get away from that woman's stare. Seeing that I wasn't looking so well, the policeman gave me an encouraging pat. He told me he could just stop the footage and I could leave, but I decided to keep going. I felt my blood getting colder and colder as seconds, minutes, and hours passed. The woman stayed still, without moving a muscle, peeking into my stool with a comical gesture that made the matters worse. Time never is infinite, though. The night soon reeked away, replaced by a burning sun that shone through the bathroom once more. But the women continued to watch.
Oh my God.
It was after a few more hours when someone witnessed the woman and called the cops. The cops came and the footage being at time 16 jumped everything back to normal. I rewound the footage and played it 2 more times. As the police dragged the woman out, the last second the door opened, revealing a sleepy-looking me looking dumb as a brick. If I'd woken just a minute before the cops came, I don't know what I would have seen. David's face looked paled, and so were my hands. I just felt sweat dripping from them as I realised just how deeply I had fallen into this story. I asked him to continue after throwing away the paperclip and drinking the soju bottle whole. I needed the buzz for this shit. The rest of the day was a blur. I remember rushing out of the station and getting into my comfy bed. However, I couldn't sleep as I kept seeing the hysteric eyes and smile of the women. That went on for about a week until I finally went back into the station. I was a mess. I couldn't study in class. I couldn't eat properly. My parents were force-feeding me juice from roots that they said would bolster my brain power, and I threw it all up only to get caught and have to take another cup. I needed answers. I needed closure. Seeing my daunting face, the policeman that had shown me the footage gave me a sad smile. I told him I wanted to know everything, and the story he gave me was this. Close to a decade ago, the Math Academy was of a different name from now. It was a popular academy with tons of students and used all 4 floors instead of 1 floor, like the current present day. One night, 4 high school boys had took a girl into the 3rd floor bathroom. They violently raped her, destroyed her ego and her will to live. She committed suicide a week later. The mothers of the students were outraged and demanded the academy to be shut down. The boys arrested and the headmaster fired. However, while the boys were sent to juvie, the headmaster, being a wealthy man, denied the accusations. He changed the name of the academy and promised the parents he would make sure that no such thing ever happened again. The solution was he introduced a single CCTV camera placed near the bathroom. Having made a deal with the authorities, he was granted permission to put the CCTV in there, but only if it was to be used with evidence. The parents were disgruntled, but the final exams, the one exam that would be decided if a student was going to university or was a disgrace, was coming up. So all the parents soon forgot about the incident, and years passed without anybody remembering it. But not the mother. The girl's mother had gone insane. The boys hadn't been fairly punished at Korean's law states that underage individuals would be protected by law until adulthood. They got out of juvie in a couple of years and were able to just live their life. The mother drank her sorrows away, making tantrums on the street that she became unrecognisable, and soon she became known as the hag of the area. But a decade later, on that night, the particular night in midsummer, she took hold of a knife. In 10 years past, she entered the academy again. She went to the boys' bathroom where her daughter was raped maliciously, ready to kill any random boy that came in her path.
Oh my God.
I listened quietly and left the station. I felt like my heart was tied to my boots. A heavy anguish in my heart. I felt the fear subside. It was the worst story I had ever heard. Anger initiated as well. I felt so sorry for the woman and the girl. I hated the boys, now probably men, that had done such vile acts. I wished I could do something, but I was just another soul waiting for trial by the government system. But as I walked through the now dark night, close to home, I felt an uneasy prickle appear again in my skin. The cold returned as 3 thoughts passed my mind. The mother was barefoot. The time doesn't match.
Mm-hmm.
The daughter had come first.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh la la! That was so much longer than I thought it was going to be.
Oh my God.
That was intense.
I don't even know what to say.
Oh man.
I literally don't even know. I'm covered in goosebumps.
Like, I don't... When I read that, just like in my head, it didn't seem as scary as it ended up being.
Ew.
Like, I thought it was just going to be like some ghosty thing in the bathroom and that was that, not all this like added stuff.
Oh my God. Because I was about to say, I was like, what about the times? They don't match up. But yeah.
And the high heels.
Yeah.
Ugh. So the daughter came before the mum.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Oh my... Mm.
Okay.
Okay, right.
Over to you.
Okay, let me just have a sip of my tea and try and warm my soul back up.
Yeah, I've just had to have like a massive gulp of water.
Oh my God. There's no way for me to move on from that.
It's literally like so much more terrifying than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
This is why you should read everything and not think, I'm just going to read this on live and see how it makes you feel. Because it might leave you traumatized.
I literally, like, someone sat in my kitchen, now I keep looking over at the door and I keep, like...
It's freaky. Lord, stuff doesn't tend to get to me much, but that has. That definitely has.
That's really creeped me out.
Ugh.
Okay.
Right, let's move on. Let's try and forget it.
Okay, let me see one of these that's maybe... I was going to say more lighthearted, but... Oh, okay, wait, this one. This one's kind of lighthearted. Okay,
good.
So this one's from Gina as well. And
awesome.
This was a real account of something that happened from a good friend that she met. So in one of the 5 grand palaces in Seoul, she was walking around, she was on like a tour. And basically her friend was walking towards the Gate of Eternal Youth. And when she walked through it, she felt something weird, like some kind of energy. And then she looked in front of her and there was like a small gazebo type thing, like one of those gorgeous, like, I don't know. Yeah.
Like, I think I can visualise what you mean.
Yeah. And there was also a massive lotus pond. And when she looked over in that direction, she saw a eunuch. And she said she knew this was a eunuch because they dressed really specifically. Like they wear dark green robes and a hat and like a black belt like along their chest. And apparently they locked eyes and she knew this was a ghost. And so apparently the ghost seemed super aware of the surroundings and like knew that he was a ghost and knew that time had passed. And apparently they bowed to each other. And then he moved his mouth to speak, but she couldn't hear what he was saying. So what he did was he waved her off to continue the tour with her group. But she later found out that whole area is supposedly haunted. For anyone who doesn't know, because I didn't know, a eunuch is a man who's been castrated, typically in the past, but they're employed to guard the women's living areas in like an oriental court. So I assume the reason they're castrated is like they protect the women and there's no possible way that...
Yeah, they're not going to be able to do anything.
Exactly, yeah. But apparently, like, they just bowed to each other, and it was like super respectful. And then they tried to talk, but he just, ushered her along.
Oh, I
Apparently,
like
there's
that.
like a very nice energy to it.
Oh, for once we have like a nice religious figure, not like evil nuns and monks.
I know. I do want to throw up still though from that last story.
I'm still like trying to blink away the fear.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go for another creepy one then. This one's quite short as well. This is The Woman at Gyro. Jayuro. Gyro.
I guess so.
Probably wrong. Don't know. But basically, this is a street, and it's about an hour north of Seoul. And it has a really bad reputation for having really poor visibility. So basically, it's like super foggy, and it doesn't have many street lights. And then also, when there's fog and street lights, it just doesn't help. Like, everything looks very foggy.
Oh yeah, creepy.
Yeah, so this place is super creepy, and it's also known for having like a lot of car accidents and stuff, just because of the fog. But that's not the scariest part.
Oh, I think I read about this.
You might have. I think it's. I
I
saw it on like a few different places. No way.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So cool. Then you can chime in with anything.
I mean, I've not got many notes on it, so
I don't have a lot on it either. Apparently, when people are driving quite late at night, they see a woman on the side of the road, and at first they think she's wearing like big sunglasses because she's not directly looking at them. They can kind of only see her side profile. But a few people have like encounters where they've like stopped and tried to see if she's okay. And when they get closer, she's said to like turn her head towards the person, and lo and behold, this bitch ain't wearing sunglasses. She has these big, like, black gaping holes in her head where her eyes should be.
Ugh. Gross.
Vomit. Ugh. Disgusting. Yeah, that's all I have on that one. So creepy. I'm going to go on to another one. This one is another fortune teller one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a big thing in Korea, I think. My sister brought me back a fortune, actually.
No way.
Which is really quite cool.
Go on.
I mean, I don't know what it means. It's all in Korean. But she brought me back a fortune.
Love
and
that.
It's chilling in my notebook because I think it must be bringing me good luck.
That's really sweet. That's really, really sweet. This one's not sweet. I'm warning you now. So this is about an old blind man who's a fortune teller. And like I said, he's blind, so he kind of sees with his third eye.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah. So one day he was walking down the street and he heard some noblemen saying something along the lines of like, the daughter's dead, it's such a shame, or something along those lines. But the fortune teller could feel there was like a dark presence looming over that home, and he believed that he could still save the daughter. So he spoke to these people and he was let into the house, and the body was brought into a room, and he sealed off the room. So he started doing some work, started doing some incantations, and he thought that the daughter had been possessed by demons, so he was working on expelling them. And one of the workers at that house was super skeptical. So what they did was they poked a hole in a paper door, and by doing so, they let out all the demons that were possessing the girl. Yeah. So basically, like, this fortune teller was like expelling these demons in this sealed room, and this person who was skeptical like broke the seal of the room, basically.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah. So all the demons get out. And on the surface of it, they'd been expelled from the body, so the daughter was alive, and the nobleman was obviously like super happy. But the escaped demons wanted revenge. Like,
can you blame them?
Exactly, yeah. So the nobleman tried to pay the old man, and the old man was like, "There's no point. I don't want anything. I don't have long left in this world, so don't bother paying me. I did this because I wanted to help." And basically the word of what happened reached everyone, including the king. And the king requested an audience with him, thinking that he was like a massive con artist and just like taking money from people, like was completely disgusted with this man. And so the king made a test. And basically he brought a rat to this man and asked the fortune teller, "What's in front of you?" And the fortune teller was like, "Well, it's a rat." And the king was like, "Okay, cool, thanks. You're not crazy." Yeah. And then the king asked, "Well, how many rats are there?" And the man said 3. And so the king got super angry, and he was like, "Clearly you're a liar. Clearly you're a con." And he was assuming this was like proof of all of that. So he sentenced him to death.
Oh no.
And when he was waiting to die, 2 people in the court actually opened up the rat, and the rat was pregnant.
Oh my God.
2 baby rats.
Oh my God.
And so the king was like in complete disbelief, was so shocked, was like, he really tried to like double back, but the prison was across the town. And basically, you can signal to stop. Whenever there's an execution, what I gather from this is like, there's a flag and someone waves the flag, and if they wave it right, it means stop, and if they wave it left, it means go. Like execute or don't execute. So basically the king's like, no, swing right, like we don't want to execute this guy. And during the time, apparently it was super windy, and every single time the guards tried to move the flag to the right, it would be moved back to the left.
Oh my God,
and so the people across the street didn't know. They were just like, well, it's swinging left, so bye-bye, old man.
That's a fault in your plan.
It is a massive fault in the plan. But get this, as soon as the man was beheaded, like instantly, the wind dropped. No wind at all, and apparently you could hear the demons laughing.
Oh my God, that's horrendous.
And that was their revenge.
Oh my God, that makes me want to cry.
I know.
Oh, poor fortune teller.
I know, he was just doing, I think he knew though.
I mean, yeah, he said he didn't have long left, did he?
Exactly, yeah. So.
Oh God.
I know. This next one just like creeped me out. Like the image of it in my mind really creeped me out.
I'm not sure I need any more images in my mind.
This one's called The Girl in the Bookshelf. And one of Gina's students told her this one. And I think it was like something the students told each other. It was like a word of mouth thing. It happened to somebody and something, I don't know. But basically, a boy was studying in the library. And like you said in your last story, like people study really late in Korea.
Yeah.
Obviously it's a massive part of the culture of like your education and stuff. It's really, really important. So people study really, really late. This guy was studying in the library. This must have been like afternoon time. He looks up and he saw a girl just like in a bookshelf. And when I say in a bookshelf, when I read it, I kind of envisioned like there's a gap in some books and like she's just like poking her head out. But basically you could see her head and her hands sort of like propping up her head a bit, like in like a very like angelic way.
Oh yeah.
And she's like smiling and like really smiling. And so he thinks it's weird, but he doesn't really do anything, just cracks on with his work. And later on people start leaving. And it like gets a bit later in the night and he sees her again, but this time she's in a different bookshelf. But still, he's like, oh, I don't care. I'm doing my work.
I'm busy. Go away,
I'm literally busy. But apparently she's just there like creepily smiling. And it gets to like really, really late in the night. The place is about to close. And he starts hearing a really loud tapping noise. And he's like, what the hell is this? And he looks up and he sees the girl at the foot of the table where he's studying, doing the exact same thing, exact same pose, like elbows like on the table, head being propped up, sort of like with her hands and smiling. And he is about to ask, he's like, what do you want? And as he goes to ask that, she starts rushing towards him over the table.
No.
On her elbows. That's what the tapping is. On her elbows. Yes. And then apparently he realizes she only has half a body.
Oh my God.
And she's like, it's this whole like ghost in this place. And
that makes me want to throw up. Why are these stories so much creepier than anything else we've done?
I know. But I just like the image of this, I just can't get out of my head. And it's the tapping, and the tapping was her elbows. And,
makes me feel sick.
I know.
Oh God.
I know. It actually makes me want to vomit.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I know. The next one is called Mr. Cuckoo.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I want this to be cute, but I don't think it's going to be cute.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
So Mr. Cuckoo was a mentally unstable man, and it's worth noting that from what I've read, in Korea, mental illness is treated really differently.
Yeah.
And so what Gina said was basically there's not much empathy towards those with mental health issues, and it's not necessarily seen as an illness that can be like aided with treatment, and it's not an illness, basically. It's just like people just have no sympathy and you're kind of just locked up. And it's as simple as that. We don't quite have the same culture surrounding that. So this man was put in an asylum, and he was put with other mentally ill people, and he was put with a woman who actually beat him relentlessly and tortured him. And the torture was said to be so severe that he ended up not only despising her, but also despising all women. And I do feel like that kind of makes sense to have happened.
Completely.
Like if you think about when you suffer abuse at anyone's hand, like it can be hard to not generalize after.
Yeah.
It can be hard to not be like, all women are like this, or all men are like this, or all relationships are like this. Or,
you kind of generalize your suffering.
Exactly. And you do that with any situation, even if it's like, oh, all schools are like this because you had a bad experience in school. Stuff like that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is a much more extreme case, but those were just my random thoughts on that. But anyway, he managed to escape this asylum and police couldn't track him. So he was just basically out at large. And what he did after that was he started to attack high school girls.
Oh, no.
With an axe.
No.
Yeah. A lot of deaths followed and he was never caught.
Oh, my God, no.
Yeah, he was never caught. Years and years passed. And then other weird things started happening. Like, long after this man probably would have been dead. So word has it that he has a very vengeful spirit. And he can be seen and heard sort of like lurking in like dark alleyways, waiting for women. And apparently his signature calling card was that he would call out cuckoo. He'd be like, cuckoo, cuckoo. And like, it was like a weird thing that would confuse people.
Yeah, that would so get me.
Exactly. Like, you're walking down the highway and you hear cuckoo.
I'd be like, someone's signalling to me.
I'd be like, excuse me, I'm not. No, I'm good.
I'm good.
But it said that if he does appear in front of you, there are a few ways that you can survive.
Okay, prep me.
I'm going to prep you for this. Basically, what you can do is you can repeat cuckoo at him and confuse him. So, like, he'll be like, cuckoo, cuckoo, and you'll go up to him, you're supposed to be scared and stuff, and then he'll attack you. But if you go, cuckoo, he'll be like, excuse me, what? And then you have time to run. Apparently, it confuses him, and you have time to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
The second, apparently he approaches you and he asks you questions. He'll ask you, do you know who Mr. Cuckoo is? Or something like that. And that's when you'll lose your life. If he asks you a question, you have to respond yes, which will confuse him again, and run.
I think basically, this is a theme in like Japanese kind of urban legends and stuff as well.
Asking questions.
Yeah.
It's like is it the smiling woman?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
The slit-mouthed woman. She asks, like, do you think I'm pretty?
Yeah.
And if they say no, she kills them. And if they say yes, she takes off the mask and asks the question again. Or something. Yeah, what is that one? And then, is it like a no at that point is a death? And then
it's like a runaway again thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but then I think it's like if you say yes, she says like she'll split your face. Yeah. Stuff like that. Like it's very much like a repeating theme.
Yeah.
And also a lot of stuff in Korea is very much, it is centered around like your face and your skin.
Yeah.
It's really, because there was also do you remember, I remember this from when I was a lot younger, the sesame seed bath.
Oh my God, ew, yeah.
Yeah, so that one was there was like a girl that I think like she wanted beautiful skin. Her friend told her like about this like sesame soak or something. So she goes to buy a bunch of sesame seeds, soaks in the bathtub with them. And basically because she was so obsessed with her skin, she tried to stay in there for like hours and hours and didn't come out of the bathroom. And then her parents went into the bathroom because she'd been gone for so long and discovered that all the sesame seeds had like become lodged in her pores and formed like roots. And the daughter was like hysterical, and apparently she was trying to like remove all of the seeds with a toothpick.
Oh, that makes me so uncomfortable.
There's something about the whole image of that like it must be some weird phobia that people have because it's just like
that's
feels,
like a tilomania or something, isn't it? No,
yeah.
not that.
No, that's pulling your hair out. I do know what you mean though.
Don't like sponges and stuff.
Yeah, it's making me uncomfortable. I'm going to stop talking about it.
Gross.
Yeah, but basically, yeah, so this guy, you have to kind of confuse him to run away and survive. But yeah, and apparently he goes by Mr. Cuckoo.
I like it.
Yeah, super creepy. Honestly, these stories, like, they just terrify.
Yeah.
They always have. They've always terrified me ever since I was young.
Like and Japanese urban legends and stuff, always worse.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God. But yeah.
I think it's because like UK ones are just normally like drunken spirits.
That's so true.
Like
very, just super British spirits.
Yeah, they're a lot less scary and more stupid.
That's so true.
Don't come after me anything though. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, I'm putting that out there into the universe. I respect you from there, from this distance.
Yes.
But yeah, those are my weird stories.
Oh, God. I don't even know if I've got the energy to share these, but we're going to get into them.
There's one thing I've got here. I don't know if you've got it on your thing, because you mentioned types of ghosts.
Yes.
I've got, like, the virgin ghost.
Oh, I've got it.
As a type of ghost? Cool, okay.
Cheongu-gushin or something.
Yeah, I wasn't going to try and pronounce that.
That was my best attempt.
I respect you. Hell yeah, go for it.
So there are a whole bunch of different kind of Korean ghosts. They fall into different categories, and this is so interesting.
Oh my god.
So the first kind of one is a gushin. Again, probably not said right. I am so sorry. So these ghosts are ghosts that are spirits that have the urges to be in the living world. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of your stereotypical ghost that has unfulfilled tasks that they want to complete. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a style of ghost that's in every culture, really.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, then this develops to the kind of virgin girl ghost. So this is a Cheonggong Gwishin. And these ghosts tend to be seen wearing a white hanbok, which is called a sobok, which is usually worn during death. So they stereotypically have long black hair, and this is due to the tradition that says single women should have their hair up. So when they are ghosts, their long black hair is down. So this kind of like contradicts the traditional women's roles. And it's saying that because they've not fulfilled these women's roles, they are cursed and wander for eternity, usually bitter and angry because they are unable to kind of fill the roles that they are expected to. Mm-hmm. You know, and then one of the ways that it's tried to control these ghosts is with the creation of phallic statues, which are used to pacify them. And this is a complete thing. So they're essentially dick statues.
No way.
An example of this is a place called Haeun Sundong Park, which is literally filled with these phallic-looking statues. And I really wanted to go here when I visited South Korea, but damn virus.
That is hilarious.
But yeah, so they're kind of used to try and, I want to say satisfy, but I don't think that's the word I want to use because that sounds quite gross. Yeah, like help them move on because they're not able to fulfill their goals. So essentially the statues are created to help with that.
Okay.
And then there is also a Chongguk Gwishin, which is the male equivalent of this. And quite often, of course, there's like less out there on the male equivalent. Like, it doesn't seem to matter so much that they're not fulfilling their family roles, does it? But it's said that shamans and shaman rituals are actually tried to use to unite your virgin girl ghosts and your virgin male ghosts.
Wow.
To try and kind of like fulfill their roles after all.
Oh my god, is it like speed dating but for the dead?
Ghost dating, like, don't you worry if you don't get there in life.
Wow.
Shaman will sort you out. So then they start to get a little bit creepier. And so they're kind of like your stereotypical ghosts. Mm-hmm. So then you have your Mulgwishin, and this is a water ghost.
Oh, I already don't like this.
Yeah, so this again is quite stereotypical. Like, I can vision this quite easily of a wet kind of ghost in the water. Their clothes are wet. They're described as having very long arms. Oh. And often only the heads and arms are actually seen. You don't see the bottom half of them.
Okay.
And it is said that these ghosts will grab unaware swimmers and will drown them.
Oh.
So that's your water ghost. The next ghost is an egg ghost.
An egg?
Yep. And I want this to be hilarious, but friggin' terrifying.
I was going to say, you say egg ghost. This sounds hilarious, yeah.
So this is Dagigal Gwishin. Again, still don't know about the pronunciation. And these ghosts are said to live in the mountains. So they lack facial features. So this is kind of why they're described as an egg. So you can kind of picture just the face. No face, just like blankness, which is horrible. No. And then it gets worse because some of them have no legs or arms.
Oh, stop.
So just the image of that, just,
I don't like it.
I don't like it. And it's said that these are the deadliest type of ghosts.
Really?
You can just look at them and they will cause you instant death.
Oh, no.
So they tend to haunt kind of like hikers and travellers from the mountains. And yeah, just there. Well, I can't imagine they can do much more, to be honest, if they're just like an egg. But just looking at them causes death. And
no defense there. No defense. What, just you see it and you just die.
Yeah, that's that.
Good.
So be prepared.
Yes.
So then we have our Korean Grim Reaper, which is a Josung Saja. And this Grim Reaper will appear to those whose time is almost over, of course. So they also tend to appear in places where death is kind of common. So places like hospitals or on the scenes of accidents, you will see the Grim Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they have the stereotypical flowing black robes, but they also have gar hats, which is traditional kind of like a Korean hat. And they appear to be human, but they have a very pale complexion and sunken eyes, which kind of describes me right now. But they work under King Yomna, and he is the king of the underworld. So they guide people along the road of, Hwangshan Road, which is the road to the afterlife. So at the end of the day, they're not very creepy. They're kind of just doing their job. I always think this about Grim Reapers. I think I'd just be like, yeah, fair enough. Help me get where I'm supposed to go.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I think they're just inherently creepy because of death.
Yeah, but they're not necessarily bad. They're just doing their job.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's plenty of jobs that aren't fun out there.
That's true.
And so the last one I'm going to talk about is the Gummiho. And I don't know if other people will have watched this, and I can't think of what it's called, but on Netflix they brought out a TV short story kind of thing a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, that had lots of short like animation styles, and they were all done by different people. And one of the stories on here is about this. Now I've read it, it's really interesting trying to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So a Gummiho is basically a shape-shifting nine-tailed fox.
Right.
Basically.
Okay, basically.
So this fox kind of takes the shape of a beautiful woman. So the distinguishing factors that kind of make them not woman-like is that they have a pointy nose and 9 white tails. So early folklore kind of describes them as naive, but also vicious towards humans.
Mm-hmm.
And they tend to use their beauty to seduce men and then kill them.
Right.
And so I find this really interesting because it seems so like mysterious and kind of different from just like your stereotypical ghost. Like this is more of a creature, but I think it's so fascinating. And on this like animated short, I want to call it, that was on Netflix, I'll see if I can find it and I'll put the name on Instagram. But they basically describe this situation in like a modern day scenario. So then this like seductive fox gets like taken away from her habitat and used in like modern society, and like is used for her beauty to seduce men in like a political stance and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all very interesting, but seriously, like a really interesting thing to kind of imagine.
Yeah.
Like it's not your stereotypical ghost, but I think that's really interesting that it kind of comes under that.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of that information was from soulsync.com.
Wow.
But yes, there are different types of ghosts that I've got.
Wow. This has been so fun.
This has been so fun. I've also the most spooked I felt in a very long time from today.
Me too.
This is a spooky one. So everybody go get a cup of tea. I don't know. Take some deep breaths. It's all okay.
Yeah. Don't go into a bathroom in the middle of the night by yourself
that's
in a
just
school.
Not a good idea anyway. Don't sleep in bathrooms.
Yeah, just don't do it. Like, come on. Just apply some logic. You'll be fine.
Heed our warning.
Heed our warning. Don't do it. Also,
man.
Be careful with fortune tellers. The Daegu fortune teller, don't do it.
Yeah, just be careful.
Mm-hmm.
That's the lesson. Stay spooky, but use your common sense.
Stay spooky, but stay logical.
Yeah, I like that.
I need that on like a t-shirt.
Story of life.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening this week.
We hope you enjoyed it.
I didn't really enjoy it, and I also did enjoy it. I'm terrified. Yeah.
I'm like satisfyingly creeped out, but oh lord,
I'm gonna need to go have a cup of tea and calm down.
Yeah, who knows if I'll sleep tonight, but we'll see.
Who knows? Well, thank you for listening,
and we'll see you again soon.
Bye.